and welcome to the Gaming Pigeon Special Delivery. This is Stefan Tassi with all the news and highlights that you've been craving for the last few weeks. Sorry we didn't have a special delivery last week, but I'll make up for it with an extra story this week. Let's get right into it. First up, a bit of bad news for Nintendo. Stocks nosedive after investors realize that they didn't create their app by themselves. The app in question, Pokemon Go. Nintendo shares falling about 18% after revealing that they only own 32% of the Pokemon Company and 0% of Niantic Labs, the actual developer of the game. The 18% drop in shares is the biggest drop for Nintendo since 1990. However, stock market experts aren't worried. David Gibson, a senior analyst at Macquarie Securities, told Reuters, "The market has overreacted to Nintendo statements, and I believe Pokemon Go will be a material in the company's earnings, given the current trends for the game." After all is said and done, Pokemon Go is still a major success for Nintendo, garnering 10 million downloads on the first day of the Japanese release and still at the top of the iOS and Android charts. This trend is not going away anytime soon, which is good for Nintendo because their shares have doubled in value since the beginning of July when they released the game. Despite all the hiccups, it looks like Nintendo's having a pretty good July, and I hope that means good things for more console and handheld games in the future. Maybe even some updates to Miitomo that actually give the game more reason to download and keep up with it. Anyway, on to the next story. Up next, it seems as though Fallout is getting its own television series. Yep, this year at San Diego Comic-Con, a television series based on the Fallout universe called Fallout Revelation was announced. A pilot sneak peek at the television series was released during a Mechanical Cake TV press event. 15 minutes of the actual pilot were released at the event, which will end up being about 3 parts long. Being described as a live-action, high-production value fan television series, Bethesda itself has no actual hand in writing this series at all. And with the possible future success of this series, Todd Howard is not ruling out the concept of a Fallout movie. Many are hoping for the success of this Fallout series to hopefully spur the concept of other games getting television series in much longer format, drawn out stories to fully flesh out the stories depicted in the games. I personally would love to see a game like Metal Gear get a television series with all of its espionage and giant robots and other craziness. I can't imagine where you couldn't go with a series like that, or something like Borderlands with its Guardians of the Galaxy-esque or Avengers-esque action with comedy and the sort of interesting storylines you could weave together there. I feel like it would be an irresistible show. Anyway, let's get on to the next story in this week's highlights. Next up, we have something of a 2-for-1 deal with both games having to do with No Man's Sky. First up is a bit of minor news. The PC version of No Man's Sky is being pushed back to August 12th rather than the PS4 date, August 9th. This isn't the first time No Man's Sky has been set for a rescheduled release. The first idea for a release date was June 21st, and the game was pushed back and back and back since then. But what's 3 days really when you have a pretty expansive game coming out that basically offers infinite playtime if you're really up for that? And lastly, this week we have good news for the PlayStation users buying No Man's Sky. Many PlayStation users learned today that PlayStation Plus will not be necessary to access the online features to No Man's Sky, allowing players to encounter each other in the vastness outer reaches of the infinite space created by this game's engine. After waiting for so long, since 2013, for such a expansive game, this is some pretty welcome news. Having to spend any more for online access would have probably put this game to the back of the list of people's most wanted games. So I haven't really invested too much time in No Man's Sky since the original announcement back in 2013 when we first saw it on the PlayStation 4. But since then, I've grown to try and see more and more of it, see what I can get excited for. But at the same time, I had so many other games to look into. So many games since the PS4 had first dropped was really exciting to me, so I didn't exactly have too much time to focus on one game. And with that, we have come to another episode of the Gaming Pigeon Special Delivery. This week, we actually have some things for you to look forward to, so let me get to some of these announcements. In the past week, our fearless leader, Jen, has put out a couple of pretty interesting articles, one having to do with the new Fable collectible card game, and the other article being about the 20th anniversary of Pokemon coming this year. So yeah, quite a few things to look up at the Gaming Pigeons blog. And I'm very sorry for not being able to organize and edit together the podcast that we had kind of planned for last week. Hopefully we can work to get it scheduled this week and actually get it edited and figure out what we want to talk about, all those sorts of things before Friday, and we can record on Friday and get that out to you, and hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you enjoy listening to 3-4 nerds talk about video games for upwards of 20 minutes. If not, you could at least put it in the background while you're doing other stuff. It's always an option. So with that, I'll leave you to following the Gaming Pigeons blog at on Tumblr, and we also have the Twitter at TG Pigeon Tweets on Twitter, like I said before. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you have a great week, and I hope you find yourself a very good game to play during these AAA gaming month droughts. Something interesting, maybe a roguelike, I don't know. But either way, good gaming, everyone.